I did it last year, so I'm back to do it again because you guys enjoyed it. Syracuse Basketball 2023 to 2024 season preview. Judah Mintz, he withdrew his name from the NBA draft to return for a second year. Now he's projected as a possible lottery pick in the 2024 draft. J.J. Starling, an incoming transfer from Notre Dame who was all ACC freshman team alongside Judah, he's projected to be a first-round pick in next year's draft. Chris Bell, a rising sophomore with shooting potential through the roof after starting most games his freshman year. Malik Brown, a rising sophomore who stepped into a huge role in the second half of his freshman year and will play an even larger role now as he gets older and develops. Naheem McLeod, an incoming 7'4" transfer from Florida State who will take Jesse's spot in the paint and has potential to be a top defender in the conference. Benny Williams, a rising junior forward who is an elite level scorer, although he did struggle at times, but he's looking to make a huge jump. Justin Taylor, a rising sophomore who can shoot the ball really well off the dribble and screens. Quadir Copeland, flashy and explosive rising sophomore who has shown promise when it comes to getting to the rim despite lack of minutes last season. Monir Hima, an elite-level interior defender who will likely play behind McLeod but can provide really good presence for us off the bench if Naheem gets in foul trouble. Chance Westry, an incoming transfer guard from Auburn who is a shifty and explosive guy, and he was recruited heavily by the Orange coming out of high school. Kyle Cuff Jr., an incoming transfer from Kansas who we have not seen much of due to injuries, but was a highly recruited prospect out of high school, although he did just break his right hand a month back, so it's unknown how long he will be out of action for. William Patterson, an only incoming freshman we have, standing at 7'2", who will hopefully develop well over the next few years. And last but definitely not least, Peter Carey. He's a rising sophomore with limited minutes last season due to injury, but we should see a lot more of him this year. Now, before we get into the full preview, be sure to subscribe to the channel as we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, hopefully before April 11th, which is my birthday. I make weekly interviews and Syracuse basketball content. Let's go ahead and get to know these guards a little bit, right? We know the role Judah Mintz will play, and that consists of exactly what he did last year, but just more of it. What will determine where he goes in the draft will be his ability to shoot the three this season. J.J. Starling is going to be another primary scoring option for us as an elite ball screen handler and a guy who can get to the rim with ease. Many teams in the ACC struggled to stop him even as a freshman last season. Justin Taylor got minutes at the two-guard spot last year, although he can be seen as more of a small forward. We know he can shoot the ball, but it will be really interesting to see how he has developed getting to his different spots this season, also rebounding the ball. Chance Westry will be a guy off the bench for us, but another guy who will hopefully stay with us for a few years. As I said earlier, we really haven't seen much of Kyle Cuff Jr. at the collegiate level, so there isn't much to analyze film-wise, but hoping he recovers from injury quickly, he can be a late minutes guy for us. Quadir Copeland was genuinely one of the most entertaining players to watch last season, and he brought the energy when he was on and off the court. Between the spin moves, crosses, step backs, and everything, Copeland can put the ball in the hoop. It just was not as consistent as we needed in order for him to play a large role last year. If he can continue to control his skill set as he progresses, he could definitely play a huge role for us off the bench in the next few seasons. Now let's talk a little bit about the forwards. I've seen some footage from Benny practicing this offseason, and his shot and game IQ is looking elite. I still think without a doubt that Benny can turn into a serious NBA prospect in 1 to 2 years as long as he becomes a consistent scoring and rebounding forward. He will get the chance to prove himself against some elite ACC forwards this season in conference. Malik Brown is more of an inside scorer, but was really huge for us after he took over for the starting role of Benny last season. Hoping he can develop more of his isolation scoring game, although I know that's not really Malik Brown's game. Chris Bell is an elite shooter at the small forward position, and the only thing Boeheim really got on him about was rebounding the ball, although he did have some games where he crashed the boards really well with aggression. Now, the centers and the bigs, right? Naheem McLeod only played about 13 minutes per game last season with Florida State, and he didn't score the ball at a super high rate, but he's 7'4". McLeod's height and presence in the paint will disrupt any shots at all inside the arc. Having McLeod on the podcast, you could tell he was looking for a place to call home while he was in the portal, and I'm happy to see he found that in Syracuse. Monir Hima backed up Jesse Edwards last season and will likely back up McLeod this season as well. Hima is a very good position-wise player on the court, and he can block and affect shots. He didn't score well, kind of the same as McLeod, but we are a really talented team this year at the guard spots, so I'm not too worried about that. William Patterson and Peter Carey don't have collegiate in-game experience yet, but both were recruited to come to Syracuse, meaning the coaching staff sees their potential and has a plan on how to develop them in the coming years. Now it is time for my projected starters. I think the 1 and 2 are locks. Judah Mintz, J.J. Starling, 2 all-ACC freshman guys. We know that they're both going to be starting roles on this team, and there are 2 primary scoring options. Now, the 3, some people have different opinions. I feel like it's kind of clear. I think it's going to be Chris Bell. We could see Justin Taylor possibly get a couple games starting in there, but I think primarily through the season, we're going to see Chris Bell dominate that starting position at the 3 spot. 4 spot, I have Benny Williams. 5 spot, I have Naheem McLeod. As I said, Judah and JJ starting at the guard spots is a given in my opinion, and I think with how Bell shot the ball, it makes sense for him to continue to get the starting minutes at the 3 in his sophomore year. I would say the biggest question that most people debate on is the power forward position, mainly between Benny Williams and Malik Brown. Williams started about the first half of the season, but after some inconsistent performances, Boeheim replaced Benny Williams with Malik Brown at the starting slot. I think due to Benny now being an upperclassman and his ceiling scoring abilities, he will start at least for a little while until we see how the rotations turn out. Naheem McLeod is also a given, I would say, to start at center, at least I think. Hema just hadn't had the exposure to the ACC quite yet, and McLeod's size is a huge factor for us whether we stick to the zone or adapt into a man-to-man kind of team, because I do think we have that agility and speed to compete at that level with fellow ACC teams. We all know that historically Syracuse has been a 2-3 defensive set team, but a new head coach could very well mean a new play style. When Boeheim was asked what defense he would play if he started a new program in 2023, he said man-to-man without hesitation. His reasoning behind that was because of the amount of shooters and too many coaches knowing how to attack his zone. When Adrian Autry was recently asked about what defense they would play, he said they would lean heavily on man-to-man due to the level of shooting teams have nowadays. Autry said when guys get into the middle part of your zone, you wind up playing 3-on-3. But 3-on-3 with someone kind of coming down in rotation, so they've got a little bit of an advantage. Expect the Orange to come out strong, looking like a whole new team in a man-to-man set to start the season off right. So let's talk a little bit about the schedule. As of now, Syracuse has not released their ACC schedule yet, but we already have some really good out-of-conference games set up for the upcoming season. Syracuse starts the season off with games against Dayman, College of St. Rose, New Hampshire, Canisius, and Colgate. Not familiar with any of those teams really, except Colgate, who Syracuse has had some unfortunate run-ins with in the past, but I'm not too worried about that game this season. When it comes to high-level games, Oregon and LSU are already on the schedule. Syracuse will match up with Oregon on December 17th away, and LSU taking on Syracuse as a part of the ACC-SEC Challenge on November 28th. Another huge event that was just announced was the matchups for the Maui Invitational Tournament, which Syracuse will be playing in on November 20th. Many talented teams are included in this tournament, such as Gonzaga, Tennessee, Purdue, Kansas, Marquette, UCLA, and Chaminade. Syracuse will be playing against Tennessee in the first round of the tournament, and if they win, they will face the winner of Gonzaga-Purdue. I know these games will be challenging for us, but when it comes to what really matters in March and in the March Madness tournament, when they're choosing who should be in, who should be out, having wins against Quad 1 teams really matters. If we could pick up an early season win against Tennessee and even possibly a hard-fought win against Gonzaga or Purdue, that could be the best start to the season we could have asked for. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to the quick little season preview. I have a lot more season previews. I'm going to be breaking down individually in different videos each player on the Syracuse roster with different Syracuse content creators. Some of you guys even are just fans. If you guys want to get on or have an opportunity to come on the show with me and kind of analyze and dissect a player's game on the Syracuse roster and preview them for the 2023 to 2024 season, go ahead and follow my Twitter. It's in the description below. It's Lighted Up Sports on Twitter. Shoot me a message, shoot me a DM. Tell me what player you would want to break down with me on the show for a video. But again, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel for weekly interviews and Syracuse basketball content.